Today's guest on Dad's World is a guy I consider to be a true unicorn, a trunicorn within my life. Trevor Taylor and I met under some of the saddest and most overwhelming circumstances within both of our lives when his wife's cousin and my close friend, Derek, unexpectedly passed away back in 2018. I didn't know Trevor or his wife, Stacie, before that awful day, but through that experience has blossomed a bond between our families that's fortified for life and beyond. So Trevor and I spend the first 10-ish minutes of this episode trying our best to paint a picture of all this before we dive into his story. So I'll let that section do all of the talking, but I promise you do not want to miss this episode. Words cannot express how honored I am to produce it, and I really think that you guys are going to connect with it. So strap in and enjoy. Oh, side note, we are introducing some new storytelling elements in this episode that I am so excited to introduce to you guys. You know, in this age of AI, it's really tough to find structures and outputs that actually elevate the authentic and timeless stories we're telling here at Calico Sonder. I think we are tapping into something game-changing within this format, and I am so excited to introduce it to you. I also would love your feedback on this. So just keep in mind that everything AI generated is going to have this mark in the corner. So when you see that mark, just know that it's AI generated. Okay, that's it. Enjoy this episode of Dad's World featuring the one and only Trevor Taylor. Hi. Trevor Taylor, everyone. I'm going to insert some clapping here.
That's nice. Thank you.
Trevi's here. First off, welcome to Dad's World.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. Hey.
Thank you. Hey.
You are someone that's very close to me, and you've agreed to let me Barbara Walters you.
I'm in.
We get to talk for a couple of hours while our children are at an undisclosed location.
Yes. Hopefully playing and getting more out.
Yes, they're at an indoor playground close by. You told me that the key right now is to just wear him out every single day.
He's very, very rambunctious. That's one thing I could not plan for right
In case the audience is wondering, we're talking about his 2-year-old son.
Yes, Braven.
Yes, Braven. We'll get to Braven. That's a little Braven teaser.
Braven teaser.
Braven teaser. But let's back it up first.
All right.
We're going to start the show by giving homage and paying honor and respect to the reason why we have become so close.
One of the greatest men I ever met.
As kindred spirits.
That's right.
The one and only Derek Leimbach.
That's right.
So Derek was my very close friend. We met when I worked in the airline industry at ExpressJet Airlines, RIP.
Back in the day.
Back in the day, learned so much during that time. And there was this guy who was a web developer at the time that I was a young and up-and-coming videographer.
That's right.
He worked for SkyWest Airlines, which is still going strong.
Still going, yeah.
He lived in Utah for about half of our friendship. And then he moved to Atlanta to come and work at our company. He has a whole adventure and a whole story that you guys are going to find out much more about in the future. But Derek is no longer with us.
Sadly.
And he was my very good friend, one of my best friends in the entire world. And he was your wife's cousin.
Yes, very close cousin.
And so I knew nothing about you until the day Derek very unexpectedly passed away. But his journey was, I would be remiss to say, if we were to talk anything about Derek and not talk about how much he traveled.
Oh,
the
all
world
the time.
Was
every
everything
time we called
for
him, he was on a plane or getting on or getting off.
Incredible.
So.
And it also would be remiss to say that he didn't overcome an enormous battle within his life that he was just a product of chance with.
the way I remember it is that he developed juvenile rheumatoid arthritis after he got chickenpox when he turned 4.
He was young.
And that became a very degenerative disease, stunted his growth.
Yeah.
Autoimmune deficiencies.
Really attacked him.
That is the most contributing factor to his passing at a young age. He traveled everywhere, and he was such a lover of life.
He inspires me. He was younger than me and still inspired me so much. It's crazy how much he's such a good person. It was crazy how he would make you feel when you came in, like you were the only person there, right? And just make you feel so important about yourself. That's what I loved about Derek is, and you would never know with any of his troubles or anything like that. He'd never complained. He never did any of that, which I commend him for so much. And I look up to him. He's one of the people I look up to. I wish that I was like Derek more than me any day. The things that he had going on with his body, it never affected his mind. He was sharp all the time. So sharp. It was crazy.
There's so much to continue to learn through just who he was as a person. And I think we honor each other through our friendship that started on that day.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about you or Stacie. I knew about Stacie and that she was Derek's cousin, but I had a friendship with Derek and Derek.
Yeah.
You know, and I knew that family was super important to him.
Very, very important to him.
But I also knew that there was a lot of them.
Boy, is there a lot of them?
I've had the honor, the really beautiful privilege of feeling very integrated and welcomed by that entire family. And I know that they're probably watching this.
Look, that was one of the hardest things for me to learn was learn everybody's name. I come from a small family, so it was really hard to figure that out and do that. And luckily, Derek was always there, and his older brother. They were always there to just, make fun and light of everything and just keep everything moving. They were really the rock for me when it came to entering into this family.
Yeah.
Because they're very close, and everybody knows everybody's business, which is, I think, a great thing. I never thought it would be, but I do think it's a good thing. I think
it shows that there's a true investment in each other's lives.
100%.
But I think within the culture that was just part of that family is that you kind of understand that family is not always going to be in the same city at the same time. And there's a disbursement that takes place because there are responsibilities that call them to other places. And I think, for me, at least, I think Derek embodied a lot of that within his life
100%.
Because, he had an incredible story that is no words could ever do justice. I have no idea how long.
I'm fumbling now trying to figure out how to describe him because you just had to meet him. He's amazing. He's just amazing.
There was something that happened the day that he passed where it was I think everyone knew that this is how we honor him.
100%.
Is how close we are, how much our lives have continued to integrate. There's a really special thing that's happened between our life and the life of now our children.
Which is amazing to see.
Yeah. And you're here on a vacation, staycation for us.
So we try to do this every year. We try to see each other. Yeah. Either we come here, you come there. So it's become an awesome tradition, at least in my eyes. I don't have many traditions, so it's one of my favorites.
It is very fun to tell people that I'm going to an undisclosed location outside of Salt Lake City for a vacation.
Yeah.
And know that we're, going to go to the Pioneer Museum and, just
what we got.
It's what do you guys have out here in this part of the world, And the real gift of something like this is being in the presence of the other person.
100%.
And so if you can maximize that, and then everything that you do is secondary, and and this is where I really feel like it integrates into what I've learned out of my life with Derek, is that you can have fun anywhere. You have to be around the people that you want to be around.
Yep.
And you don't have to overcomplicate it.
Nope.
He was the biggest champion of my creative life. He was the first person to donate to my Kickstarter campaign when I was trying to make it as a TV show writer, creator. I feel Derek every single day, but I especially feel him when I'm in the presence of you guys.
Yep.
And I think he'd get a real kick out of what we're doing right now.
I bet you he's laughing.
And when I see our kids playing and just being goofy, I can hear his laugh, his very distinct laugh and spirit within all of it. So
me too. And he's amazing. He's a rock to me. Like, I'll even go back and look through old texts that we've had when I'm having a hard day or something like that. Or the other crazy part is I can text you, which makes me just as elated as I would if I was texting Derek. So thank you for that. I just want to tell you that before we get started. Man. I think that's amazing what you've done for me and for Stacie.
That's the biggest honor that I could ever hope to receive. All of us, all four of us, you know, we all have a really special bond.
100%.
I love seeing the way that you bonded with Chelsea. And, you know,
I feel like we're the same person, and you and Stacie are a little bit more alike. So it's
for sure.
It's nice,
For sure. It's a really cool dynamic, and it's one that I hold very, very dear to me. And I'm very excited to talk about our life.
To get to know my past. That's crazy. Okay.
So here we are.
Okay.
Derek would love this.
Love it.
We're diving in now.
Right.
Okay. Right. I got to get another swig of water. All right. Trevor Taylor.
Yes.
Tell me about your life. What is your story?
A kind of complicated one to some people. I was born in Michigan. I grew up on my grandfather's farm. You know, he was just a businessman. He owned car lots. He did all this other stuff, but his main hobby was he liked to race horses. So that kind of trickled down to my dad. My dad raced horses his whole life. So I grew up going to racetracks and doing, you know, all that stuff, running around racetracks in the middle of the night, or, you know, going to fairs in the summer because they raced horses at fairs. You know, just farm life. Get up early, do chores, go do what you had to do, and go to bed. So my mom ended up leaving somewhere early teenagers, 11, 12, somewhere in there. She left after my grandma passed away, and then we actually moved into the farmhouse, me and my dad. And it was just me and my dad until I turned 18. And then joined the military and left. Got my first plane ride at 18.
Of the memories that shape you, what are some of the ones that come to mind during that time of your life?
I mean, I wish I could say that there was a lot of good ones, but there isn't. I don't have a lot of good memories. You know, anything with my grandma I loved. That's one of the solid things I always had in my life. But she passed away. She was in her 80s when I was born. I mean, she passed away when I was pretty young. And after that, things kind of went off the rails, I think, for my family. She was kind of the rock that held everything together. You know, kind of put that blanket over everybody to, you know, be proper, be a good person, do that stuff, because she's just amazing.
And then what? There was no more North
Nobody
Star.
had the reins. Nobody had the reins to pull back. And my dad, he's always been a drinker. My dad was an alcoholic from the day I was born. I remember he quit for 1 year. He drank non-alcoholic for the full year. And I do remember that was a pretty happy time. It was a pretty good time.
What year, like what age range was that?
I must have been 6, 7, maybe somewhere in there.
Was your grandma around at that point?
Yes. She was proud of him. Everybody was proud. My grandpa had passed away like right after I had maybe one or two. I don't really remember too much of him. I do have one memory of my grandpa, and it's sitting out on his front porch, and he used to eat an apple every night after dinner, and he would cut it with a knife, and I'd sit on his lap and he'd let me cut it with the knife. And I thought that was the coolest thing ever, because I got to play with a knife when I was, you know, little. And then after that, it kind of gets foggy. I've blocked out a lot of stuff just because, I don't know, just the person I am, I guess. I'm not sure. You know, just family problems. They fought a lot. Mom and dad did. And then Mom ended up, she couldn't take it anymore. She left. I kind of just came home from school and no more mom. So that kind of sucked. But she did stay around long enough for my grandma to pass and to help my grandma and everything else. So my dad kind of sucks everybody kind of into his world that he meets, into the horse racing and everything else. My mom, she was going to school to be an administrative assistant. That never panned out. She quit and ended up just going to work at the barn with my dad, and kind of just everybody got sucked in. There is a lot of bad stuff about my dad. I'm not going to sugarcoat him too much, but there's 2 things my dad did that I'll be forever grateful for. One is he stayed. I mean, just staying. It's a huge thing to take on a teenage kid, like early teenage kid, right? When you're not even together yourself, but mom's gone. What are you going to do? So he stayed. That was one of the best things he ever did. He stayed. Second thing is we had on my grandpa's farm, they lived in the farmhouse, grandpa and grandma, and then they put two trailers, trailer mobile homes on their property. And we lived in one and my grandpa rented out the other one. Well, the other family that rented it, they were kind of a shady drug dealing kind of biker gang family. And they had a son named Brandon. Nickname was Randy. Abused him. He'd run around the streets, everything, because they didn't care. Drug users. But Randy was a really good kid. And my dad ended up kind of giving him a job on the farm because he knew stuff was really hard at home. The more you can get him out of there, the better. And my dad was free labor, right? I mean, he's cleaning horse stalls. He's washing horses. He's doing that kind of stuff. Well, one day they up and moved, the mom and dad did. And he was over at our trailer and she dropped his bags off on the porch and left.
No way.
So dad was like, all right, he's ours now. And we kept him.
Really?
Yep. Went through the whole adoption, everything. And it ended up being my aunt that officially adopted him.
Okay.
So officially he's adopted by her. But he moved into the farmhouse with my grandma after my grandpa died to help my grandma. And he was just my brother. He was my next door neighbor brother. Right?
Wow.
He took care of me more
but also your cousin.
But also my cousin and also an adopted person, right? So he has got more troubled past than I did.
Did you think about that at the time?
No.
You didn't never have like the thought process of like, I have it bad, but I don't have it as bad as Randy?
No, because in the light, I feel like at the time, I didn't know it was bad. I just thought it was normal. I thought the fighting and the drinking, and I thought everybody did that.
But when you went to school, like, did you think that all the other kids had that same life? You know what I mean?
No, because I feel like I kind of hid that part because when it came to other friends, I lived in nothing but farm town. So everybody farmed. Everybody farmed. So as long as our farm was doing what it was supposed to be doing and everybody was doing the same thing, I just thought everybody was the same and I never questioned it.
When you were younger, do you remember having dreams? Living in a small town like that, how big did your dreams get?
Not very big. I mean, I kind of, where I'm from, everybody, you farm from the day you're 0 to you die when you're 60. And I come from a place that no one ever leaves. No one ever leaves. Everybody in my town we're related to, you know what I mean? And they've been there their whole lives. We all went to the same high school. We all graduated. Nobody really leaves. I mean, I wanted to be things, of course. I mean, you want to be an astronaut. You want to be a rock star. You want to be, you want to be famous actor. I want to be an actor from what I can remember.
And look at you now.
Look at me now. Hey, made it, baby.
You're welcome.
Hey, all because of you, buddy. Mom left and that was kind of hard. I just Dad, we were more roommates than father and son at that point.
Right? You felt that way?
100% from that day on. And luckily enough, I was smart enough to learn that very early. And it's like, look, you're not going to get compassion. You're not going to get those things from this guy because he's just a hard-nosed old farmer. He's not going to tell you he loves you. He's not going to tell you this kind of stuff.
But did you have the understanding that he was never going to leave you?
That was an absolute fear of mine all the time because my dad would be gone racing horses, right? So he'd have to travel 4 or 5 hours to race at the big racetracks because we lived in the middle of nowhere. So I wouldn't see my dad for a couple of days at a time. And then when the drinking got even worse when I was in high school and he would leave, it wasn't such a fear that he was going to be gone and I was going to be alone. It was the fact that I didn't have anything. Wouldn't leave food, wouldn't leave money, that kind of stuff. So I had to hustle and do whatever I could. Luckily, when they say it takes a village to raise somebody, boy, I'm going to tell you, my village is amazing. And I'll never badmouth people in my town because they took me in when dad was gone. I would run down to the neighbors and be like, hey, man, I'm hungry. Like, what are you guys eating? They'd have some kids or something I'd know. I hung out with people that were, 10 to 15 years older than me because there was maybe 2 kids in my town that were my age. Neighbors would take me in. Yeah, we're cooking stew. Come on in. Come eat. You know what I mean?
Really?
100%. And then we had some people that lived down the road from us. They were an amazing family. He actually, his name is Tim. Don't say it. He actually worked with my dad for a little while on the horses. His grandpa did horses and stuff like that. That's how we met him. But he went to college. And that blew me away that he finished college. I'd never met anybody that finished college.
Really?
So I was like, I want to be just like that guy. So Tim kind of, to me, was somebody I looked up to and wanted to be like. He ended up being an architect and he went to work for Four Winds Boats. So he drew and built boats. And then the coolest thing ever, whenever he would build one or get done with it, they let him go test drive it. So I got to go with him to go test drive boats. Yes, and I was like, this is what Rich... I'll never forget one time. I remember him driving super fast in the boat and he was like, was that fun? And I was like, yeah. And I felt I'll never forget this feeling. I was like, this is what it feels like to be rich. This has got to be what it feels like.
Wow.
Right. And it was just crazy to me because
just, if nothing else, for an hour.
Yeah.
Because kind of when you're out on the water like that, you know that this is what I'm doing for the next little bit.
Yep.
So you know that entire trip, you at least get to say, for the next 60 minutes, I am rich.
I'm rich. And people would look at us where no one's ever looked at me. Right. I've never been flashy. We've never had anything nice. So people have always kind of looked down. And when we were in that brand new boat that no one has ever seen before, because it's not even out in production yet, I was a star. Man, I was a star. And Tim was one of the nicest men I've ever met in my life. And his wife, Debbie, man, she's now, we call them mom and dad now. Like when I call back in my phone, they're mom and dad. And we go back to see them and Randy. That's who I goes back to go see now. And I feel bad because I don't think I've ever told Tim that. I think I should next time. Tim has MS really bad. So I really feel like before anything bad happens, I really want to tell him how I feel.
Yeah.
So that's something I'm working towards.
Yeah.
Building up the courage to do.
Yeah.
They took me in all the time. I slept on their couch numerous times. I mean, she used to say, that's my baby. Like, that's my kid. And like, she took care of us. She was a pharmacist. So anytime I got sick or anything like that, she just took care of me. She did what my mom did. Cause my mom, I'm not sure my mom really, I don't know. I think my mom grew up really hard too, in a hard environment. So she was pretty hard nosed. I didn't really feel as much love as my mom that I could see from my friends' moms and stuff. So that always got me pretty hard, but it made me learn from an early age, like if they're not going to give it, don't go chase it. You know what I mean? Go find it somewhere else. Yeah. Like go do your own thing. Cause you're going to spend your whole life trying to get these people to love you. And if they don't, they just don't. It's just kind of how I felt.
Why in your mind do you think it was so hard for those people in your life to not be able to love?
I think one is because they grew up in a time where your kids were there for, to shut up, obey, and do what you have. Yes, you had love for them, but it wasn't really conveyed. And the problem where I live is it's 50 years in the past. I mean, nobody's left. There's no new technology, no new stores. So people have done the same thing for years. So I grew up, in my opinion, at least, and I could be wrong, but in my opinion, I grew up just like my dad grew up in the 50s, right? You didn't get loved. You got smacked on the head and told to go away until nighttime or stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So I don't think she was ever taught love, which sucks. I mean, it really does suck for her. And kind of me. And I have an older half sister. This is what kind of gets me a little bit too, though. When my mom left, she took my half sister and not me. So that kind of really shook me up to the point, well, can she feel love? Because obviously she loves her. She took her, right? And my sister does have some medical problems and things like that. So I'm not sure if that played into her guilt or whatever. But still to this day, they live maybe 2 minutes from each other.
Really?
And she has done nothing but take care of my sister her entire life. And I kind of feel like it just wasn't room for me. Either all of her love was gone by just dealing with a problem older child like my sister was, or, she just didn't love at all. I really hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong. I hope that she just held it all in and never conveyed it, but she does love and it's deep and she feels, maybe some guilt for letting me stay. But yeah, I never felt love. And the reason I know that is because now I feel it. I know what it is now. Like it took me a long time to get there, but I know what it feels like now. My wife loves me, her family. Oh my God. Her dad is one of the most impressive people I've ever met in my life. I look up to him more than I look up to almost anybody, because they just love me. And it's not because of what I can do. It's not because of it's just they love me for me.
Yeah.
So that's how I know, but I didn't know it at the time. That's where the hard part was. So as a kid, you can't really convey that, I don't think, if you don't know any of that. So I'm begging for love and some attention. And that's why I think I acted out sometimes, because I was just looking for attention.
Yeah.
And never got it.
Yeah.
So
your mom left, you were how old?
It was after, look, I'm going to get some dates wrong. Somewhere between, 9 and 13.
Okay.
Somewhere in that.
So in the real
now,
coming
she would
of
come
age,
back in and out a little bit
sure,
in that little span of time. So I can't really pinpoint it if I can remember right.
But was it at the age of like 13-ish that like you remember that's the last time she was really in the picture until I was an adult? Yeah,
because I remember coming home. I remember coming home from school and I got off the bus, which means I was still riding the bus. Had to have been, elementary to middle school. Somewhere in there. So yeah, I would say about 13. If I had to guess a solid number, I'd say 13.
Yeah. You ended up joining the military.
I did.
Yes, sir.
Look, yeah. So here was the bad part, right? So my dad was he was very good at telling stories and not the truth all the time.
I gotcha.
So in high school, I had a chance to go to a place called WyoTech. WyoTech is a car customizable and welding school. There's one in Wyoming and there's one in Pittsburgh. And my dad said if I had the grades and that I got accepted, he would find a way to pay for it. So me and my buddy, we were both going to go. We were both welders and we wanted to go. I took welding in high school and I loved it. And we were both going to go and we went down there together. His dad drove us down there and we looked for apartments and had everything set. And about 3 days before I could go, my dad told me he didn't have any money and I couldn't go. So, he's like, I'm sorry, buddy. I don't have it. I should have been saving and I hadn't. And it came up faster than I thought. And we have zero saved. So we can't go unless you can find a way to go. And I said, Dad, this is an accelerated course. They don't want you to have a job while you're doing it. It's 7 days a week. It's so you can get it done in, 6 months or whatever instead of 3 years.
But the model for it is to have the money saved up. Yeah. So that way you can take, how long did you say?
It's like 6 to 8 months. And then if you want to add on like upholstery and stuff,
so it's a lot. It's
no more than a year.
Right. So get 10 months of savings saved up and then go and do this program and
go from there.
Man.
So yeah, he just either it was a bad year and like I said, we've been through bad years. I mean, if we didn't grow it or we didn't raise it, we didn't eat. So, if we didn't get the pigs ready or if we didn't get stuff like that, my dad had pigs a couple of years. We ate those bacons for a while, but when horse racing started to go down and it's not as popular and everything, their purses aren't very big. My dad's racing for, a couple $100 a night. You're not going to make it through the winter. I mean, we just didn't have any money. That's just the way it was. Farming, you get all your money in the summer when you're harvesting and when you're doing that. And a lot of stuff we harvest, we ended up putting back into the horses. So we weren't even getting money for that.
And so your summers really dictated your winters.
100%.
Wow.
Which stunk because then, you don't get to see your dad unless you go with him to the horse tracks. And even when he did, it was like, okay, I'm going to the driver's lounge, like go play at the fair for 12 hours and then come back.
And you're by yourself. It's not like you've got buddies. You're in a completely different place.
Nope. I'd have to beg to bring friends like that because it's really hard to sell a mom who really cares about their kid. Like, hey, do you want to go with some degenerate gamblers to a horse track? And guess what? There'll be rides at the fair there that they can go by themselves for 12 hours. That's really hard to get somebody to agree to. Sell. Right. So very rarely could I bring friends and every once in a while we could, but man, so I was just alone a lot. I can remember Randy being in my life and being with me and playing with me and taking me out and, he would go and get me Burger King and I thought that was the greatest thing ever.
What's the age difference between you guys?
He's at least 10. I know he's 10 years older than me at least. I think he's 12. I could be wrong.
But somewhere where it's like a solid older brother type
100%
figure.
Yes. And he's old enough to know. So Randy was one of the smartest people I know because of the fact he knew kind of how my dad and family was. right? And he'd seen the even
He
darker
sees it.
side
Yeah.
of everything.
So he's in that world.
Right.
You guys, it seems like probably are running parallel paths, but he's a chapter ahead of you.
100%. I can't explain it any better than that.
Cool.
It's amazing. And like I said, my family wasn't anywhere near what his was. Don't get me wrong. But he was very smart in knowing when bad things were about to happen and kind of steering me away. He was the only, to use your reference, the only North Star I kind of had to follow. So Randy did more for me than I'll ever be able to repay back for him. I mean, he was amazing. And he used to take me in his car, his old beat up car. He was a college student, right?
Yeah.
But he had a car, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever. He'd take me to Burger King. It was just the greatest day ever. And he would just do that randomly, like just out of love. That's the beginning of feeling love that I ever felt was with Randy, for sure. I honestly don't know where I'd be without him at this point. So
it's pretty evident because I think people that are in your position to have gotten where you've gotten in life, you have to have a lucky break. Or to use your phrase, you have to have an orchestration of the universe.
Yep.
Converging paths with two people that are, mutually help each other in unspoken ways.
I feel like he was almost a bookmark in my story. And it's always bookmark at an important change, if that makes sense. Yeah. He is always there when an important change had to happen, and he would guide me the right way, where I never had that before.
Yeah.
So I give a lot to Randy, and I don't think I'll ever be able to repay him.
We call that the goddess moment in storytelling.
Yeah.
Where it's basically a character that comes in at the right time to teach the main character what it is that they need to know to get through the trial that they are going through.
To the next one.
To me, it's just, it's a really strong supporting character in your story.
And what's crazy about it is he's the only person I think up until I met my wife and the family and the friends I have now, he was like the only person he would come in weirdly in the exact time I needed him. Like he let me live my life. He let me make my mistakes. He lived that stuff. He never put me down for any of the mistakes because he'd made them too.
Yeah.
He'd run through them. I couldn't do anything in my small town with my friends and the people I went to school with that he didn't do 10 years before.
Right.
I mean, we followed that chapter to a T, right? Drinking and stealing kegs and stuff like that came from Randy. I mean, him and his friends. So I just wanted to be like Randy. But when it came down to the hard stuff that was really going to impact me forever, Randy was right there.
Yeah.
He would guide me the right way. And I'll never be able to thank him enough for that, for sure. So yeah, I don't know if he would respect the word goddess, but he's a goddess.
Maybe that's not the right term. Maybe, how about badass dude?
Yeah. And even to this day, he's still bailing me out, man. He's still the one I can talk to for anything. I mean, he's just amazing. And he's got 2 amazing kids. His wife, man, she is an amazing woman. She is an amazing woman. So
we can get into that about how important it is to be a truly good human being, not just a good dad, but a good human. It takes a very, very strong woman because
boy, howdy.
That's another example with him and her.
I couldn't be here without my wife, so I'm telling you.
And I feel the same way.
100%.
We love you guys.
There you go. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Come on. Comment. Subscribe.
So the WyoTech thing kind of fizzled out. Couldn't make it. I thought for a while maybe I could work, and save up and go. Luckily in high school, I'd worked nights at I don't want to say the name, but it was industrial tree chippers. We made them at this factory. So I would work nights there, and go to school and sleep during math class and get up and then go do chores and stuff that I needed to. So, I was going to do that and work there for as long as I could and then save up for WyoTech. And then right when I got started saving, I got laid off. It just felt like the universe was trying to tell me something like, this isn't the path you need to take. Like for some reason, everything I tried to get to WyoTech just didn't pan out. So, there was a girl I loved, that lived a road over from me. I loved her as a friend. We never not together or anything like that, but she's just an amazing friend. And she was going into the Air Force. And I said, well, hell, if she can do it, why can't I? Right. Yeah. So I took a year off between high school and going into the military because I thought I was going to do the WyoTech and trying to work and figure out.
That was a period of trials for you.
Man, and I moved into a house with a bunch of guys, a trailer, a bunch of guys, and just partied and just, wasting my summer and my life.
You were on the first step towards repeating a cycle.
100%. Boy, and I was coming at it hard. I was going to repeat it, and I was going to do it better than he did. But, something after the year of just, working dead-end jobs and still being there and just hearing the same story from the same people a million times. Yeah. Like, I've heard this when I was 4, and I'm still hearing it when I'm 18. So she said, I'm joining the Air Force and I'm leaving. And I was like, I can do that. So I actually went, and the Air Force guy wasn't there at the recruiting office, of course, right? So I was like, great. So of course, the Marine guy was there. He was like, hey, let's do some pull-ups and let's see what you can get. They
always do it.
Right? So I did my pull-ups and I did everything, and I took my ASVAB, which is a test to get into the military. And there's each department of the Department of Defense has a different score of what you can do. And then from there, it even gets split up. The higher the ASVAB, the better jobs you can get or whatever else. You're just able to do more things. So I took my ASVAB and I scored actually really high. And this is the first time I've ever heard this in the history of military recruiting. The Marine recruiter said, hey, why don't you go talk to the Navy or the Air Force? And if they won't take you, come back to me.
Really?
He said, your ASVAB scores are pretty high. I think you can do something more than being – the problem with the Marines is they're not the problem, but the way the Marines is set up, right? The jobs for the higher ASVAB scores are really scarce because they're just not as big as some of the other ones because they're kind of the offshoot of the Navy, So you got to go to the bigger ones to see if you can get crazy intel jobs or things like that. So
part of the duty of the Marine Corps is to recognize that on this shared system and then make recommendations for potential other avenues that could better suit you to serve your country better.
Right. And there's always that line, they say you can have this job. It depends on if it's all full. It depends on that kind of stuff. But there's just tiers of the jobs that you can get. And if you cross that line, then there's 4 or 5 different jobs that you can get, other than just being the lowest job. So, and I may be speaking out of turn. I'm not sure exactly how that whole works, but that's kind of how I understood it. I could be way off, but I went in to talk to the Navy guy because I ultimately wanted to do something there, right? But I didn't like the ocean. I'm not an ocean guy. So I was like, man, I don't know if I can be on a boat, like that. If I get one of the boat jobs or being out on a carrier or something like that, man, I hate the ocean. It's crazy.
It is a scary place.
Luckily, the second time I went there, the Marine and the Navy guy were gone.
No way.
And the Army and the Air Force guy were there. So I went to the Air Force and I said, hey, I just talked to, Sergeant whatever in the Marines. He told me after I took my ASVAB to come talk to you. And he looked at me like I was an alien. He goes, that's never happened before. If we can get somebody, we get them. Yeah. They have numbers they have to meet. So he said, yes, you qualify for some very high jobs, stuff like that. The problem with that is you're going to have to wait for a job to open up because they're pretty scarce. So I was like, I can't be here anymore. I'll just take whatever. Just get me out of here. Whatever I can do the fastest. So I signed up to be a cop. One of the most general jobs you can get in the Air Force. So I was so I'd signed up to be a cop. I went to boot camp. I did all that stuff. I started my training to be a cop at Lackland. And during that, they had mentioned that there's some mechanical jobs that are looking for people because they're so understaffed.
Yeah.
And one came up was egress explosive operations something or other. And to me, that's gibberish. I didn't know what that meant, but what word jumps out to you in that sentence?
Egress?
Explosive. Oh. For me, it was explosive. Right?
Sorry,
so,
I was...
You're good. I get it. Mine was explosive. I was like, I get to play with explosive? Heck yeah, let's do that. Yeah. I want to do that. Didn't have to do with that at all. But I signed up and I went. So my mechanical...
Like Andy Dwyer taking lasers in Parks and Rec. Where are the lasers at?
Yeah. So I went and I come to find out egress explosive technician is somebody that works on ejection seats in jet aircraft.
Okay.
So I went to training. My mechanical score was pretty high. Growing up on the farm, I worked on everything, just mechanical. And we were poor, so I had to make cars work when I got into high school. So $500 for a couple of weeks in a car, great. got it to do it again next week. But I scored pretty high in mechanical, so I got accepted. Ended up going to Wichita Falls, Texas for my tech school. I graduated. I was now a part of the Air Force. I was a Airman First Class, which is
Airman First Class.
One striper, yep. Which I had to sign up for a 6-year enlistment instead of a 4 to come out as with a stripe.
Okay.
So they kind of give you that incentive. Hey, you give us 6 years of life, we'll get you in the next rank, right?
I gotcha.
In the grand scheme of things, pretty much anything under a senior airman, which is your 3rd stripe, is all the same. It doesn't really matter, right? So I gave away 2 years for something that didn't really get me too far. But
when you were signing up, they sold you.
Boy, did they.
They sold you on it.
Man, yeah, props to my recruiter for telling me everything that you should know. You get what's called the dream sheet. And your dream sheet is location. So where do you want to go? Where do you want to be based on, right? Now I'm from Michigan. I had just been on a plane for the first time to boot camp ever in my life, right? If we couldn't get there by truck and trailer with the horses, we never went. So we didn't go on family vacations. I never been to Disney World, none of that stuff. So this was big. I was like, man, I'm missing home. I kind of want to go back. You know, I put all East Coast bases, everything in there. And I put all America because I'd never been anywhere. The last thing I want to do is try to learn a different culture or language or whatever. So I put all East Coast bases, and about 2 weeks later, it was assignment day. So that's when they put all the assignments. I looked. I did not get close to Michigan. I actually went to Misawa, Japan for my very first base.
No way.
Yes.
Oh my God. So, do you think it's because they looked at your dream list and said, this guy, he wants to be close by?
I think so, but I think they actually, this is just a theory, like this could be way off, right? But I actually think they look at like, you know, how much family you have. What do you know, what is at home? Are you going to go, you know, are you going to go AWOL? Are you going to, I think all that stuff gets taken into consideration. And they were like, look, this guy doesn't have that much of a family, kind of his family spread out all over the place. So we can kind of do what we need to with him. Right. So they put me where they needed me. And that was in Misawa, Japan. So, I'm grateful now. I love Japan, by the way. It was an amazing tour, but when you're 19 and you've never been anywhere, that's a scary call. I actually looked at my tech school instructor and I said, this is a joke. Like, this can't be right. And he was like, hope you like sushi. I was like, nope.
How did you come to the final conclusion that's like, this is going to be good for me? I'm going to get on this plane and go do this thing.
Actually, that didn't hit me until I got there. I honestly thought they either made a mistake or they were just going to use and abuse me wherever they needed me at that point. Like I'd heard some guys that got their dream locations and everything and they love where they're going. People in my class were going to Hawaii. People were going to, you know, cool, like Alaska, stuff like that, Florida. And I was like, I'd never even met anybody from Japan. Anybody in the military from Japan, right? It's kind of a stop and go place. You just stop there, fuel up and keep going. I was like, this has got to be a mistake. Like,
I'm supposed to be going to Hawaii.
Yeah, I was like, I remember Sergeant Scheimer. I was like, hey, somebody made a mistake. I never put any of this on my dream sheet. And he looked at me and he goes, the military doesn't make mistakes.
Military doesn't care about your dream sheet.
That's pretty much what he said. He said, they're going to put you where they need you. So I boarded a flight from Wichita. That Wichita went to Vegas to Washington, and from Washington straight over to Japan. It was a 14.5-hour flight.
How long were you there?
2 years.
2 years.
Spent 2 years there in Misawa.
2 years there. And then how did you end up in Utah?
Crazy enough, I got kind of in a relationship with a girl that was from LA. She was in the Air Force with me. She was Thai was her background. Her family was from Thailand. And we ended up getting married. I was 20. Got married. I had some trouble on my first duty base, and I didn't know if they were going to keep me in. And I had nowhere to go. So what's the next best thing? Let's get married. That way I can secure my security.
What a perfect testament to the emotional like place that you were in your life at that time.
Like I was willing to get married.
This will solve my problems.
Yeah, I was willing to get married for a place to sleep. Like that's how bad like my mental
was that
part
like your first like relationship?
Yeah, really. I never had girlfriends in high school or anything like that. Like I had, dates and here and there and just hung out with girls and stuff like that, but nothing serious. I mean, serious enough that would have lasted through the military. I mean, obviously. So, I kind of just cut everything and left when I left. I had sold everything that was kind of anywhere worth anything and hopped on a plane and left. I mean, even if I was to come home, I didn't have anything to come home to. Yeah. So I was 100% in. That's the first time in my life that I had jumped both feet in without any kind of planning. I just went for it. So now I got married. I'm going to Iraq for the first time, which was something heavy. I'd been there for about 8 months when I got my orders. So I went to Iraq. She stayed back. She was still on base. She was still working. I'd been there about 10 months. And it's just long distance relationship. You're fighting, you're trying to take care of everything when you're a million miles away, and it just gets hard. On
top of having, a responsibility to the United States military, and all of the pressure that comes with that.
And just trying to stay alive. I mean, we're getting shot at, we're getting mortared. I mean, constantly. You're always wearing your vests, you're always on alert. So your nerves and anxiety, I mean, they're just at the top all the time. So it makes being calm and stuff on the phone when you only get 3 15-minute phone calls a week to call back because they limited us. It's really hard to keep stuff going. Well, luckily I didn't have to after about the 10-month. She admitted that she was pregnant with somebody else.
No way.
Yeah. So my world, it crashed. But I don't know if I was sad because I was more sad and mad at myself that I didn't make it work. I had failed again. And that's just where my headspace was.
Yeah.
These two people didn't do anything wrong. I failed them. I failed her to run around with somebody else. That's where, because of the self-deprivation, there's such the self-hatred in my whole life of just being beat down and just
It was like your fault.
Yeah, it was my fault. I had to go and I left her. It was my fault. Even though trying to do my job. Like I'm trying to, this that is it doesn't war.
It's not a lot to ask your wife to remain faithful and committed to building a life with you. If you've taken that vow, if you're with someone and you're meant to be with them forever, you find ways to go through and work through those tough chapters, but to show where both of you probably were at this particular stage of your life, you're not able to process things in that way.
Yeah.
And the way that you took it was, I'm responsible for this not working.
It's my fault.
And that's just based on the way you were raised.
100%. Because, my dad would get drunk and lonely and everybody hates me and I'm the reason everybody leaves me and everything like that. And then 2 seconds later, anger kick in and then this is your mom's fault. Everything is your mom's fault, blah, blah, blah.
It's an inner spiral in his head that's coming out and you just happen to be in the same room.
Yes. And one of the things my wife is working on with me more than anything is the self-deprivation in front of my son. Because sometimes I'm just like, oh man, I'm stupid. You know what I mean? That's dumb. Why'd I do that? I'm such an idiot. And my wife's like, stop. Like, that's why you are the way you are, is because you heard your father doing that.
Whoa.
So she is very, very good and she is on me. And I'm telling you, I can tell her that she's nagging me all the time, but everything that comes out of her mouth is for the better of me.
Yeah.
She doesn't say things just to say things. And so that's really what I'm trying to work on now. But because of that, that's why I thought it was my fault.
Yeah.
Right? So now on top of everything else, I'm a failure at my marriage in front of 8 people that are my brothers that I would give my life for, has now come out on the phone because our phone was in our shop where everybody was. Everybody knows. Man. There's no secrets. I mean, now you're looking at somebody that can keep his marriage together, who you look up to, and he's got to look at you like, well, he can't even keep his marriage together. Right? That's how I felt. Now, none of those guys ever did that.
That's the thing.
Those guys were so mad at the situation.
But in your mind, I can totally understand where that's the conclusion you're coming to in your mind, because you've never been around anyone, with maybe the exception of a Randy or someone like that, where they actually are going to do everything that they can because they would give their life for you as well.
100%.
You know?
And my brain wouldn't accept that. Like I knew, I feel, and even to this day, I've always been the kind of guy that would give every bit of money, every bit of time for somebody else. But receiving that kind of stuff is just not that. I can't do it. I can't do it. I always feel like there's, hey, you didn't have to do that. Like I don't deserve that. You don't have to do that for me. And that's how I kind of felt, especially in such a masculine area, right? It's all of us big military guys. All we're doing is eating protein and working out and trying not to die together.
Yeah.
And, it's just, and then you gotta look at him and be like, I'm not even good enough to keep my wife. Like, how am I going to keep you guys? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So again, I start to get close to people, and then something happens and my walls come up. Well, these guys are just BSing me, right? They're laughing at me behind my back. I know it, right? So I just keep getting the cycle, just hating myself, and it's just so bad. And so that happened. I got back. I still tried to stick it out with her. I was going to help with the baby. I was going to do whatever I could.
Because you're a good dude.
As crazy as this sounds, 90% of all the good things that I can recall trying to implement in my life comes from TV.
I love it, man.
Is that crazy?
No,
right?
I feel the same way.
So I feel like I was in such a thing that no matter what, I could turn the TV on and immerse myself. No matter what. It was, sitcoms. It was, somebody got somebody pregnant. Well, they got to do the right thing. They got to raise the baby and stay married. And great. That's what I'm going to do.
It becomes a sitcom. Your life is a sitcom. My life is a sitcom.
As long as I had a good theme song, like Full House or something.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Well, I'm going to hire someone to do a little boop, doop, 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 doop.
I like it.
In post, yeah.
Little saxophone.
I completely follow what you're saying. That you had, and maybe that was in some ways our North Star growing up,
Maybe.
We're like, I want to be Danny Tanner.
Yeah.
I want to look at the bright side of this really messed up situation. And
always come out on top, right?
That's right.
30 minutes, and at the end of the 30 minutes, everybody's on top. To me, that's kind of where it led me to. I was like, all right, I'm just going to buckle down. I'll be the good guy. Like, I'm hurting, and this probably will never go away, but I can get over it. It is what it is. Well, I was wrong. About 3 months in, it ate me so much inside.
3 months into
trying to do the right thing.
I know, but had the baby been born?
And there's more to that.
Oh man.
She decided not to keep the baby.
Oh man.
It was very far along, but Japanese rules are a little different, and she could do it as late as she was. So she did. That sucked. That really sucked, because I thought maybe that's what I could lurch onto, because the guy that wasn't going to be around no matter what. I mean, he just wasn't, right? So I thought maybe that I could latch onto that and start to build love back up again, maybe the baby. And then that would make me love her again, because I'd fallen out of love. I mean, you get cheated on. It's real hard to look at someone every day and be like, oh, yeah, I love you. This is great. Everything's nice.
But you felt like I can at least be a contribution here.
Yeah, I thought I could have some purpose. Honestly, I think most of my life, I've just been looking for some kind of purpose. Really, as bad as it sounds, like I want to be valuable. I've always wanted to be valuable, to be seen, to be able to help. And I just feel like I just been pushed, and don't worry about it. We'll take care of it. It's like, okay. So I thought maybe I could be valuable there. And then she pulled the rug out. Yeah.
So you end up going to Utah.
So that was the other thing. After that, I was still confused and didn't know, but it was really shortly after our orders were coming up. The crazy part about being military to military married is now when you guys move, they won't split you up, but they have to find a base that you both can work at. Luckily, she was IT. She did computers, so she could really go anywhere, right? You need computers everywhere. But mine, because I was a jet mechanic, I had to go only where there was fighter jets. And she was from California and wanted to move back. So the closest we could get, my job was available was Utah. So we went to Hill Air Force Base in Utah. Shortly after I got to Utah, I got orders to Afghanistan.
Whoa.
So, and at the time she had just got orders to Qatar for her deployment. So we were going to 2 separate deployments. And she went to Qatar. She volunteered because she just wanted to go. She ended up working in the mailroom or something because she volunteered. But it was over at that point. We probably talked 4 times in the 10 months I was gone. I mean, we'd done nothing but fight. And
did you know
everything.
when you left that there was no way you were going to make it past another deployment?
I can honestly tell you, I knew before we left Japan that it wasn't going to.
Really?
And at least if it was going to hold out, I was gearing up for a very unhappy life. I just knew it. But because I'm self-deprecating, I figured that's what I deserved. I brought all this on myself.
Did you also feel like you could make the most of it, though?
I was going to try.
Yeah.
And did the best I could.
You were determined to at least do that.
I was. I felt it was my fault I had to deploy, which was not my fault in any aspect. I signed the paper just like she did. Right. So, I just thought I could make it work the best of my abilities. But in my head, I knew I was probably going to be miserable for the rest of my life. And this was just another punishment added onto that. That's kind of how I've always felt.
How did the divorce process feel for you?
Relieving, as crazy as that sounds. We actually ended on pretty good terms. We didn't have anything because we were broke military, airmen. So we didn't have anything to split up. We had 2 dogs. She got both and left. And she went back to California because her enlistment was up. And since I signed, remember, the 6th year, I still had 2 more years. So
funny how things work out that way.
Well, I wasn't thinking. I was just letting her take the lead and picking Utah and everything else. But no more than 10 months after we got there, she was out and moving back to California.
So she stranded you in Utah.
100%. But it ended up being the best thing that could have ever happened to me.
And that's a testament to your attitude on the way that your story has played out. Because, drum roll, please.
That's where I met my wife.
Ta-da!
And so Utah ended up being the best thing for me. And I don't know what I've done right in my life that the universe gave me this gift to keep me there and let me find somebody there. But boy, am I glad it did. Wow.
Yeah. It's crazy to think about some alternate universe where you're doing something else and you're not there. And we talk about it. We talked about it a couple of times. We have no idea what's out there. But when you think about like an alternate universe where none of that plays out that way and you're not in Utah. And if anything, it can give you an appreciation for this life that you have.
Yeah, 100%.
Because I have a very similar story. I've never shared it publicly or anything, but my story with Chelsea and how we met and, ended up falling in love and just the entire story of that feels very orchestrated. And I often think about alternate places where I'm doing alternate things. And I'm like, I'm so thankful to be in this one, raising this child, having this marriage, just building this life.
And Stacie asked me all the time, she's like, what do you think would have happened? She's really invested, right? And she's like, what do you think would have happened to you seriously if we wouldn't have met? And I said, if I'm going to be honest, I probably would have got out after my 6 years and I would have went home and drank myself to death. I mean, that's what everybody in my town does. They go home, they farm, they hide it. They hide drinking above being a farmer and they drink themselves to death. That's what my dad died from. It's just the way it is.
Do you think that would have been just like a slow process for the rest of your days? And
yes, 100%. I think I would have found a way to find a place close to where I grew up because I know everybody and I know everybody at every gas station and I know you know what I mean? So I would have found somewhere close and I would have got some job enough to pay the bills and to buy booze, and that would have been the end.
Yeah.
No more Trevor, I don't think, honestly. So I owe Stacie my life. And honestly, I owe my ex a lot too. I mean, as bad as a lot of people would see that situation and be that, I've kind of learned to take another route and just look, like, she was away from home. She's young, just like I was.
Mm-hmm.
She made mistakes. She's not perfect. She's a person. I can say that now without any anger because of the fact that she gave me a chance to go to a place that I don't think I would have ever picked without her. Right? She is the reason that I met my wife, as crazy as that sounds.
Yeah, that's crazy perspective.
And it's really hard to look at it like that. But if you want to stay angry about what happened, she's young. She was young. I was away for 10 months. That means she's alone for 10 months. Right? Now, everybody's going to say in their head, well, she should have held it down and done that. Well, it's easier said than done.
Especially at a young age.
That's what I'm saying. We were 20.
20
years old.
I mean, you're a child. You're a kid, man.
So people always ask me, like, when I do tell that story, they're like, man, you had to have been so pissed off. And I was like, I was more relieved. Do you know what I mean? And now I'm grateful for her because I wouldn't have met my wife and the amazing family I have now. So, man, it all ended up real good. Like the road was really rough to get there, but the off ramp was smooth and the highway is good now. So
yeah, man, what a great perspective to have, because, you know, it is a testament to being able to see the bigger picture and understand, even though you go through the trials, and in the middle of the trials, there is a lot of damage that can be done and a lot of alternate paths that you could take. But if you can hold on to this idea in your head that this story ends up with a happy ending, you know, for me, I try to look at it like you are always searching for the highest perspective that you can find, because when your perspective is high, you get to see so many things that are bigger than, you know, just your worldview, your circumstances in life, you know?
Yeah.
You could say there's something else out there for me.
Well, I heard somebody say to me one time, like, whatever you're doing, you're looking at it right here, right? If you take a step back and look at it from here, all of this stuff that contributes could change your mind about the middle. I always try to take that in perspective, to back up and look, and like, I can tell you this too, with her, I was not a good husband either. I'm not saying that I ever cheated or did anything like that, but I might as well have. I mean, I talked to girls still online. I did. I wasn't there very often. I wasn't very sweet and nice when I talked, or I just didn't know how to do it because my only teacher was dad, and dad objectified women, and like, you know what I mean?
You're expected to understand what you're doing sight unseen.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. I'm thrown into the cage, and just, they say, stay away from the bull. And it's like, what do you mean stay away from the bull?
Yeah, that bull is right there.
Yeah. So I by no means do I ever portray myself as being the perfect husband that was, you know, oh, poor me. Cause I wasn't, man. I wasn't. I wish I could have been better. I drank, you know, we would go out and party, and we were 20-year-olds. We were just dumb. You know what I mean? So we did a lot of dumb things, and I could see what would lead her to do something like that. I don't think it's right for anybody to cheat in my mind, but I also understand the lead up to it.
Right. I
mean, could you imagine, you know, marrying your wife and then 3 months later being like, I got to leave for a year. Bye.
Man.
Like, you know what I mean? That hits people hard. So I don't want to put that out there that I'm the perfect angel and she just ruined my life, because that's not how it went at all. But I am very grateful that she got me to Utah and that I met my wife. Yeah. Stacie. So I had gotten in some trouble here in Utah after the divorce kind of went, you know, crazy. And I didn't want to be on base as much as possible. Well, I was working out really hard at the time. I was, you know, lifting in the gym and running were my only outlets, right? Because I'm broke, I'm divorced, I don't have anything going, right? So I'm running and trying to work out, but I didn't want to do it on base where it was free, because I just saw people, you know what I mean? And I see these people all the time. So I ended up running to the nearest gym by my house, where I was renting a house. And, you know, I started checking out this gym a little bit and stuff like that. And it just happened to be, I had gone to work the next day or whatever. And one of the guys I work with was like, hey, do you want to come with me on lunch? I got to go sign up for a gym membership. I'm going to start working out on base. And I was like, oh, yeah, whatever. We'll go get Subway or whatever. So we left and he went back to that same gym. This is where that cosmic part was. And I don't think I've ever told Stacie the fact that I'd been to that gym prior to meeting her, because you'll see in a minute where I met her. But yeah, been around there and actually toured it prior she wasn't there. I'd seen through the windows. I hadn't walked in or whatever, but I'd run there before and I knew where it was. But anyway, he walked in to get a membership and I saw Stacie through the windows, the front windows, when I was sitting in his car.
And I might as well go in there too.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. So I went in there and I was just like, it's fine. I'm not going to sign up. You know what I mean? I'll just keep running around.
I'll just be the creep in the
out.
corner that keeps looking at the receptionist.
100%. That's what I was going for.
Trying to look hard.
Super hard. She ended up getting me for a year's membership, tanning, which had never tanned a day in my life. And I'm sure anything else that was there, but whatever else she was selling, I took.
That's just good salesmanship.
Boy, she got me. I took it. And I ended up running there every day because it was within the distance.
Okay, what's your schedule?
Yeah, when are you going to be here? You know? So I'd go there and I'd run and I'd work out and kind of chop it up.
That treadmill right there.
The first time I ever talked to her was, we call it the storm of the century. Storm of the century was coming through, and just like you said earlier, it snows by Salt Lake. So we were going to get this huge blizzard.
Snowstorm Morpheus.
Well, they even shut the base down because it was supposed to be so bad, and that's the first time that's ever happened.
That's scary.
So I had run to the gym, or I drove to the gym. I was working out, and it was just me and her because nobody wanted to be at the gym. The snow was coming. So I ended up talking to her, and the first thing I said was, hey, the storm's coming. Like, what time do you get out of here? Like, I just want to make sure you're going to get home. And I'd never talked to her. I can be your hero, baby. 100%. Thinking I said it, but it probably came out like, hey, what time are you coming home?
Hey, what time you get off work?
Yeah. So I was like, hey, is there any way, like I just feel something, like, could you like maybe call me or something whenever you get home? I just want to make sure you got home.
I'm scared for you.
And of course, then I was like, oh, I got to be cool. And I was like, you know my number, just look it up. Like, I was just like, and I said that and I was just
She's like what? A phone book?
You dummy. That's all I could think in my head was, well, there was that.
Yeah.
You messed it up.
Well, because you had watched a Goofy movie and you thought you were supposed to be cool like Max.
And the worst comes later. She goes, well, what are you going to do if I do? If I can call you or whatever. I said, I told her I could give her a cookie. I don't know where the hell that came from or what even that means, but it fell out of my face. And she laughed instead of kicking me out, which was the best thing that I can ever remember her.
I'm gonna marry that girl.
Yep. So she called me later, and of course I had gotten drunk with my roommate, and she was like, "Oh, great! Now I'm getting drunk calls from an idiot," and like,
I'll come pick you up.
So the crazy part was it never snowed an inch.
Really?
The entire night. No,
Oh,
people were stocking up on like Duralogs and stuff to make sure when the power went out, never snowed a bit.
What a bummer. But
that's how it started.
That's how it started. That storm came on and said, I'm not needed anymore. Go away.
So I'd sobered up and, we'd talked a little more and then I invited her over because I was broke and couldn't go anywhere. And I invited her over.
Hot dog?
Yeah, you want a hot dog and a movie? Like, I got that. So she came over and we watched the movie and stuff and we ended up just talking all night long.
Stacie.
And we have been inseparable ever since.
Yes, you have. You have quite a love story. I want to get into the nitty gritty.
Ooh.
But part of that is I want to talk about being a dad.
Okay.
Let's talk about it.
Let's do it.
Let's talk about being a dad.
Let's do it.
As the name of the show implies, is about fatherhood.
That's right.
It's not marriage world.
That's right. It's about dads.
It's about dads.
About dads.
So you guys had quite a journey to get pregnant.
Yeah.
You had quite a journey in pregnancy.
Yes.
And it's safe to say that your son is quite a little miracle.
Yeah, I would say that.
Let's dive in as deep as you want to go, as much as you want to start. You're a great storyteller, so I'm just going to give you the floor.
Hey, I learned it from the best.
Hey.
We tried to have a baby for a while, and for some reason, it just wasn't working. We had gone to doctors. We'd figured out some stuff that may be the problem, but ultimately, we had gotten it. Trying to have a baby ended up trying to be a chore, and for us, it was really taking a toll on us, right? So we looked into IVF, and it seemed like the miracle was going to work. So we did the IVF. We paid the money. We went in. We did the egg retrieval, and I always say litter. I don't know why, but in my litter, we had 3 boys and a girl. We did all the genealogy or genetic testing, and everything. And the healthiest boy, we decided to try to implant first. And luckily he took, but yeah, we put in Braven, and I keep saying Braven, and then it's actually his middle name. Crazy enough, his first name is Derek.
That's right.
Named after our friend and mentor, at least mine. So Derek took, everything was fine. We going along with the pregnancy, everything's good. They start doing ultrasounds and they're wondering why he's so small. He's just very tiny, and we can't, we're trying to figure out why. We found out that Stacie had a hemorrhage during somewhere in the pregnancy. And they say that almost 100% of the time, if the hemorrhage is bigger than the fetus, you're going to lose the fetus. And this it was bigger than Bubba. And he pulled through. I have no idea how. He was needy and he took what he needed from her, and it really drained my wife. My wife, she had some medical problems. She had some cosmetic problems, hair, stuff like that. Just stuff I think that happens in most pregnancies, but I just feel like it was amplified with her for some reason. But we got through, we ended up doing testing, every other day. We'd have to go to the hospital, make sure everything's good.
How big was he when he was born?
4 pounds.
4 pounds.
Yeah, he was little, really little. And the scariest part is my wife's water broke. We ended up going to the hospital, and they said, well, it's a long way. You're not dilated. It's going to be a while. So our midwife, she said, okay, let's start the medicine to start, the birthing process or whatever. I'm not sure how it all works really. But they gave her a pill to induce the labor or whatever. And my wife's body wasn't I'm not sure if her body just couldn't take it or whatever, but it split I believe something to do with the umbilical cord or something. He wasn't getting any oxygen or any blood, or anything to him. And about 5 minutes prior to that, the doctor said, hey, why don't you go home and get the stuff or go get food or whatever? We're going to be here a while. Stacie was hungry. I went to go get food, and she called me hysterically in line. Something's wrong. They don't know what's going on. Something's wrong. We're going to lose the baby. Whew. So I ran. I mean, I've never driven that fast ever. So I got there, and as soon as I got there, the nurses are taking things out of my hands and putting me in a suit. They're like, we're rushing her to surgery now. We got to try to get the baby out. So, and it was too late for an epidural. So Stacie had to deal with all of this. Yeah, this pain. But she's a trooper. So they laid her down. They put, the tarp up so you can't see past, and the midwife is back there, and the baby hasn't breathed in a long time. And I'm kind of freaking out, but I'm not telling Stacie because I don't want her to freak out. And lo and behold, I hear him cry. They pulled him out. They cut her and pulled him out.
Yeah.
And he cries. And I just break, right? And I look back at Stacie to kiss her and hug her, and her eyes had rolled back into her head. And her heart started to go. Started to flatline a little bit. So my midwife grabbed the baby and ran him to the NICU because he's 4 pounds, and they just ripped him out. And then they started working on my wife, and I'm standing there going, what do I do? I got to help. I got to do something. But I can't. I'm not anybody. And then Stacie opened her eyes, and she, and I fell. I just fell. So then I almost lost them both. That'd have been a rough day.
To the left and to the right.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Both ways. But they took the baby to the NICU. They weighed him. He was really, really malnourished and under, just because of the problem with the umbilical cord and whatever that carries everything to him. But they both made it. Stacie came back. She was good.
They're back, baby.
She's back. So she kind of woke up. I kind of we've talked about that, but I don't think I've ever gone into that much detail with her. Because she was just, you know,
hopefully she's not going to watch this episode.
I don't think so.
No.
I don't think she would.
Yeah.
No, she's too busy. So yeah, that was a rough birth. But he's healthy. He's here.
He's two.
We've kept him
Little
alive.
monkey.
We've kept him alive till 2. Yeah.
He's been climbing all over the place in the house.
I'm going to have to buy you a new couch. I know I am. He's going to break it. I'm sure he will. But he's just a 2-year-old boy. He's jumping off of things. He's playing with me. I work kind of a crazy schedule. So when I get time with him, we play hard and we go at it. Yeah.
You go at it.
And he's my buddy, and he's the friend I've always wanted, which is crazy to me to say that I treat him, you know, better than I treated almost anybody ever.
Yeah.
Like he's just my buddy. He's the best friend I've always wanted that I really honestly think I needed a long time ago. I think finally the universe was like, he needs you as much as you need him. So I think that's why I got
perspective, man.
That's
awesome.
why I got Derek, was he's helping me be a better person and teaching me things that I feel like I should have known my whole life. And feelings and emotions. I've cried more since he's been born than I have in my entire life combined.
Yeah, just something kicks in.
I didn't even cry at my dad's funeral.
Wow.
Like compared to this, like it's just crazy. He teaches me so much every day. It's so gnarly. And I'm like, I'm supposed to teach you things.
Yeah.
Right. But he's teaching me more than I could ever teach him, I feel like. And I'm so glad for Stacie too, because she's the moral compass in all of this. She knows what it takes. She's been around kids her whole life. And she's just like, hey, like, you're getting a little angry. Like, hey, calm down. It's not his fault. It's, you know, and she
so
really
often
keeps me in check.
Our wives, it feels like they're having to raise multiple children.
Boy, I'm telling you right now, she has raised me more than anybody. She always tells me, she's like, I don't want to be your mom. I'm like, it's kind of late for that.
You know what you signed up for.
Yes. I told you this a long time ago. You know how messed up I was. Like, sorry,
I told you my story.
So yeah. But he's teaching me a ton, and the way she has developed into a mom is, man, you see it on movies or you hear about it all the time, but until you experience it, it's a completely different person. She's a completely different person in a good way. Like, she's just so in tune with him. It's insane to me. She knows when he's sick. She knows when things are wrong. She knows before I'll even get an inkling. So I'm very, very happy that he is teaching us how to be better people.
Yeah, that's a beautiful way of putting it. On that subject, I think so often we talk about how great it is and the wisdom that can be instilled and, you know, what our kids get to teach us and all of that. And it is a beautiful experience.
Yeah.
But it's also really challenging. And you said something yesterday that I couldn't agree more with, but I would love to unpack more. In order to be a great dad, you have to understand yourself.
100%.
How did that unfold for you?
In the complete opposite of that statement. I think my whole life I have tried to pretend or be something that I am not, trying to make everybody happy. I'm a people pleaser. That's just the way I've always been. And it's almost gotten to the point where I never learned to have an identity. Never did. I just knew I was the throwaway kid. Right? You get done drawing a picture, you throw it away. I feel like that's kind of what I was, throwaway kid. And, you know, after having Braven, and luckily my wife has been working on me for a little while. We've had some time to try to figure this out and go, you know, with my PTSD and my stuff from being deployed.
And this started before Braven came along, right?
Yes.
So you've been working on yourself. You guys were married for how long before Braven?
14 is when we got married, 2014.
So you were together for, almost 10 years. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right around 10
years. I know we
years.
tried to have a baby for about 8. So, yeah. But she's the one that's like, hey, you've got some trauma. Like, you need to get this out. And I come from a place where you don't talk about you. You don't tell people you're hurting. You shut up, you color, and you go to work. It's just the way guys do it, right? You don't talk to therapists. You don't even say the word therapist around people that I grew up with. But she was like, I think you need to talk about it. If anything, just talk about it to get it out. And that's what I realized at that moment. talking about myself, I couldn't talk about myself because I didn't know who I was.
Whoa. What a statement, man.
Yeah.
To not really even know who you were.
I didn't know who I was. I know who I've tried to pretend to be, but that's not me.
Yeah.
It's not me. And I got lost so far into that world and that realm of pretending and trying to being a chameleon with whoever I'm around. And you know what I mean? Just to survive. Cause you have to agree with these people's, if you're in their house trying to eat their food and they're, offering you dinner, you don't want to insult them.
Yeah.
So you change who you are. You change. If you don't agree with them, you either don't talk about it or you just agree with them to get out. And kind of that's how I lived. And I didn't really know who I was. So Stacie has done a very good job at making me sit down and really figure out who I am and go talk to people. And I've talked to therapists and I've done medications and I've done, therapy, medicational therapy and everything I could think of. And what I'm coming to find out is, and I'm still learning this to this day, like I still self-deprivate myself all the time. Like I just do it. And what I'm coming to find out is people will like me, right? If I'm just me, it's the pretending that people don't like, right? So I had it completely flipped to where my dad would lie, cheat, and steal to get anything he needed or wanted, right? He used to bet on himself in horse races and hold him back to win the money. Like he's just that kind of guy, shady characters. Because I think my dad hated himself so much that he thought he was a failure, just like I did, that, he would never admit that just being John Taylor would have gotten him probably a lot farther than being JT. With my dad, there's two personas that I always saw. There's the John Taylor that I saw, the real dad, right? There was times between drinks or working, there was always a time that he would never drink before noon because he had to work, right? So like 11:30 was my time with him. That was my time. I knew 11:30. Hey, Dad, let's go get some lunch or let's go do something, right? And then 12 o'clock hit and it was all over. So I think that's where I took it. And I never learned that people will like you for you if you just be you, be genuine. And I just
confidently authentic,
right or wrong, it's still you and people will respect that. I never learned that. So I was a chameleon my entire life. I think with my first marriage, with people in the military, with anybody, I would say anything I had to.
So you feel like it was with Stacie is the first time you've ever been authentically you in your life?
She's the first one that pointed it out to me. I'm very good at, once you get it in front of my face, perfect. I can work on that. No one ever brought it to me because nobody ever cared enough, I don't think.
Or maybe no one ever saw you enough.
Maybe. Or people just thought that that's who I was because of how good I was. Maybe they thought that was the genuine part of me. But you can't hide that for that long. You just can't. You're going to have tells. People are going to realize at some point. And the people that knew me the most, that really got down, like the Tim and Debbie's and the family friends that really got down, they knew me and they loved me. And I couldn't see that for some reason. So with Braven, it's really coming to the fact that I never want him to have to be anybody but Braven. That's one of my main goals. So he's going to be who he wants, and I'm going to make sure of that. He's going to be genuine, if not anything, because I know the other road. It sucks.
Yeah.
It sucks. When you have to go in front of a therapist and actually talk for the first time, that's one of the scariest things I ever did. And I said some of this stuff, but I went into deeper detail, with my dad and stuff. And the guy he was a pretty new therapist. He was like, I got to stop. He's like, I can't continue this like this. I got to take a break. We'll see you next week. Like, we'll do it. And I was like, oh. And then shortly after he moved, he didn't take me on anymore.
He ghosted you.
Yeah,
pretty much. Like, I got to get a new profession.
Pretty much. But I knew that's how the VA worked. They're pretty quick. They kind of move in and out of there. People take the job quick, whatever. So, yeah, that was kind of crazy.
But was that, I'm guessing, because you've referred to it a couple times now, I'm guessing that maybe was like the first time that you felt like at least validated in this idea in your head that maybe you do have a really unique story that needs some unpacking.
I did. And what that really realized was Like Stacie was right. That's what I kept thinking during that whole time. Like Stacie was right. She's not just saying things to blow smoke, you know what I mean? To get me through or whatever. She's telling the truth. Like when I'm genuine, it's shocking to people, but the way it made me feel was something I'd never experienced. So I've got to instill the right way. It's so important to instill the right attitude with him so that he can be genuine to himself. I mean, the people I love the most are the most genuine people. That's why, because they're genuine. I just want him to be like that, whether I'm here or not. I want to instill it early enough that if something ever happens to me, he can fall back on it. He can fall back and be like, when I had the time with my dad, he taught me the best stuff. And he taught me how to be a man.
How to be genuine to myself.
That's the other thing that gets me sometimes is everybody's like, oh, you were never taught to be a man. And I was like, I was taught to be a man, a bad man. That masculinity type, it's just, and especially with no female influence at all, you know, after 13, when, in my opinion, you need somebody to hold your reins back when you're that age because you're a teenager and you're going nuts. I didn't have that. I just got let go. So it's really important to me to instill that in Braven. Like, you have to be a good person. And most importantly, you have to be genuine. You have to be genuine. It's going to take you so much farther. Don't ever lie.
It's going to be so much harder.
Right. But anything good is worth doing. If it's worth doing, it's going to be hard, but do it.
Exactly.
Right? So, I mean, I'm going to teach him that from day one. I'm going to break the cycle. One of my biggest things after talking with my wife is breaking cycles. And that's what I'm going to do. I do feel like I'm here for that reason. It's very hard to understand, but once you understand it, it's one of the most important things to me.
It feels like, you know, so much of your life, and it's no different than most people, you're searching for purpose within life.
Right.
For you, it sounds like it really did, you know, hit new heights and become an illumination for you in the process of becoming a father.
Yeah, I feel like I'm 10 years late on everything.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I mean, we all definitely feel that. But what is the most challenging part about this stage of fatherhood for you?
For me, it's controlling my emotions around my son. I'm very quick-tempered. That comes from, you know, just that's what I've always known. And man, the biggest thing I think I'm actually learning is you can't control things that you can't control.
Yes.
That more important to me is that it's I can't control the world around Braven, right? I can't control it. All I can be is here to try to guide him in the right way. And my biggest thing is I get frustrated when I can't control everything. I'm a control freak. And when he is not going to bed at exactly 8 o'clock when I want, I start to get frustrated. And
because that's the routine.
That's the routine.
Yeah.
I'm military. I'm very routine based, right? So if it doesn't go to plan, I start to get anxiety and it builds and then I get frustrated. And I never want that for Braven. Right. My anxiety from just everything in my life is just crippling sometimes. And I never want that for him. So I'm trying everything in my power to be calm as much as I can, to not flip out, to realize he's 2. He doesn't know any better. Right. So my biggest thing now is just to be there for him, to support him, and try to get that instilled in him that you are not going to be able to control everything. The only thing you can control is your emotions about what's going on. And that's something that I'm learning with him, which is hard to do. I really wish I had that skill prior to him, but I feel like it's a good thing because we're both getting awakenings in this, right? We're both saying, well, we can't control that the traffic is bad and we can't get home at 8 o'clock, right? So let's play blippy or something, and let's just relax. I mean,
let's find a solution to the situation we're in.
Instead of just blowing up, because that was always my solution. Get mad and get it done and get it out of the way. But
and there's an awkward silence in the car, but at least you got a little bit of that dopamine out of your head, you know. At least you got to release that rage just a little bit.
The more I can teach him to just control his emotions, then everything else is just going to be easier. So that's my main goal right now. Now, I'm sure there's going to be other goals from here on out, but
yeah, we're still on the first page,
bro,
buddy.
I'm just taking everything as it comes at me. So that's my main goal right now. But
what an amazing testament, though, not just to, you know, your life as a dad, but just who you are as a person. I'm so glad that we were able to learn what makes the type of dad that you are, and understanding that, like, this is something for us to learn about for the rest of our life.
100%.
And if we can go into it with that mentality, I think it makes it a lot easier. Overall, it makes, at least for me, makes it easier to have the grace for myself when I do get it wrong.
Yep.
You say, okay,
it's an amazing way to look at it. I've never looked at it that way.
I did not hit a home run on that at bat, but I got another one tomorrow. You know, or I got another one in exactly, and I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And as long as your kids know that, like you said with your dad, like that's a great starting point. But our goal is to take it much further than that.
100%. Yeah.
And so the work that you put in to be the best version of yourself for you and for your kid, I really commend it. I obviously love
I'm just
you
trying to follow
very
you.
much.
I love you too. I'm just trying to follow you, man.
Yeah.
Look,
go ahead, say more.
I'm catching you. That's all I'm doing. I'm just riding your coattails.
Our children are separated by a year. Maisie is a year older than Braven.
Yes. And I look to you as one of my mentors when it comes to dads.
Thank you, man.
I know that sounds like I'm blowing smoke, but I'm being genuine. The way you do things, I am trying to emulate that to this day. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, I still say things that you've told me. So
yeah, well, thank you, man. It's very high praise, and it's an honor to know you. It's an honor to be brothers, and we're done with our podcast episode. We did it, man.
Hell yeah.
All right, love you, buddy.
Love you too, man.
Let's do a hug on camera.
Okay, I'm sweaty. Oh, on camera.
Here.
The children.
Oh yeah, bring the kids down.
Yeah.
Here, we'll sit back down. No, I want to see the kids.
No.
Come on, the meatloaf.
Oh. She's letting it happen. I heard it. Go see daddy. Come here, Bubba.
Oh.
Hi.
Hey, guys.
Come here.
Come here.
What's all this?
Hey, guys.
What's all this?
All right.
That's you.
Look, there it is. You guys want to talk to each other? Hello, Braven.
Hi. Hi. Hi.
What'd you guys do?
I don't know.
You don't know.
Where did you just go? Where did you go just now?
We'll just go to Wiggle.
Wiggle giggle.
You have fun, Bubba? Yeah.
Oh, that's
Robot.
I'm a Okay, don't touch.
all right.
All right, let's go get ready.
All right, let's
Go to
go.
dinner?
We're going to dinner. We're going to dinner.
Guess
Sweated
what?
through my
What?
shirt.
I'm Stacie.
Yeah.
French fries, bowls of
Come on, let's go get that.
2 French fries.
She's going to do 2 French braids.
Yeah. Hey, I'm doing a high French fries.
I sure do.
Oh.
Yeah.
Let's go. Tell me all about Wiggle Giggle. Thanks for being on my podcast. Dad's World. Dad's World.